Have you ever paused for a moment and wondered why your life seems to unfold the way it does? Why some days everything feels effortless, while other days you're trapped in a cycle of frustration, missed opportunities, and invisible barriers? What if I told you that the blueprint for your entire reality has been quietly shaping itself around you, and you barely noticed it? The truth is, most people live their lives unaware that they are constantly creating their reality, not through magic, not through luck, but through the subtle, almost invisible patterns of thought, belief, and perception that govern every action. Every decision you make, every thought you entertain, every emotion you feel, is like a brushstroke on the canvas of your existence, and while it might sound overwhelming, it's also incredibly empowering. Because the moment you realize this, you stop being a passive observer in your life and start being the conscious architect of your reality. Think about it. If someone tells you that you are a product of your environment, you might nod along, believing that life is mostly about circumstance. But here's the hidden truth. While your environment does influence you, it doesn't define you. Two people can grow up in the same household, attend the same school, and live through similar experiences, yet one ends up stuck in mediocrity while the other thrives spectacularly. What creates this split is not luck. It's awareness. It's the unconscious choices versus conscious choices, the unnoticed programming in the mind versus deliberate intent. Most people never notice this because they've been trained to focus externally, blaming circumstances, people, and the world outside for what happens inside their lives. They live in reaction rather than creation. Contrast this with someone who understands how reality is created. For them, life becomes a series of experiments, a dance between intention and action. They notice patterns in their thoughts and behaviors, understanding that negativity attracts negativity, while gratitude, focus, and clarity draw positive outcomes. This isn't a vague, think positive and good things will happen, mantra. It's science-backed, psychology-rooted, and based on universal principles that govern cause and effect. Your mind is not just a receiver of reality. It is the projector, constantly generating experiences based on the lens through which it sees the world. And if your lens is fogged by unnoticed beliefs, fear, and limiting assumptions, the reality you experience is a reflection of that fog. Now, here's the part that most people never notice. The process of creating reality is happening all the time, silently, often without conscious awareness. It doesn't wait for special occasions, for permission, or for perfect circumstances. Every emotion you allow yourself to dwell in, every thought you repeatedly entertain, every belief you reinforce internally, is like planting seeds in the fertile soil of your mind. Some seeds grow into towering trees, strong and unwavering, shaping your life in profound ways. Others remain small and weak, unnoticed yet still influencing the ground beneath you. Most people have been watering the wrong seeds their whole lives, blaming the soil for poor growth when the truth is that they never examined what they were planting to begin with. Imagine walking through a garden where some plants are thriving and others are wilting. If you only focus on the wilted plants, you might think the garden is failing when in reality it's thriving in other areas. This is exactly how life works. Many fail to notice the patterns they are cultivating because they are focused on what is going wrong, not on what they are creating through their thoughts, habits, and daily choices. By becoming aware of these invisible forces, you gain a map, a way to see exactly what you've been doing subconsciously that has led to your current reality. And once you see it, you can begin to consciously choose which seeds to plant, which to nurture, and which to remove entirely. Here's an example most people can relate to: relationships. You might find yourself repeatedly attracting the same type of person, facing similar conflicts, or ending up in the same unhealthy patterns. On the surface, it seems like bad luck or timing, but if you dig deeper, you'll find that your mind has been projecting expectations, beliefs, and unresolved patterns onto every encounter. Without realizing it, you are programming your reality to match your internal landscape. Change the landscape, and the reality shifts. This principle applies to wealth, health, creativity, and every domain of life. It's universal. And yet, despite this enormous power, very few people harness it. Why? Because noticing it requires introspection, discipline, and courage. It requires looking at your life without excuses, without blame, and asking the uncomfortable question: what part of this have I unconsciously created? Most of us avoid this question because the answers can be unsettling. We might uncover fears we've been hiding, patterns we've been repeating, or limiting beliefs we never questioned. But here's the secret: the moment you acknowledge these elements, you take the first step toward liberation. Awareness is the gateway to transformation. You cannot change what you do not see, But once you see it, you have the power to redirect your energy toward what you want to create. Now, I want you to picture a day in your life where every action, every decision, and every thought was aligned with conscious creation, where instead of reacting to circumstances, you responded with clarity and purpose. Imagine waking up and knowing that your mindset, your focus, and your intentions would directly shape the quality of your day. This is not theoretical, it's attainable. And the most astonishing part is that it doesn't require extraordinary effort. It requires a shift from unconscious reaction to deliberate creation. The methods are subtle, yet their impact is profound. The first step in this process is noticing. Notice your thoughts, your emotions, and your habitual reactions. Observe the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible. Are these stories empowering, or are they limiting? The second step is understanding cause and effect. Recognize that every belief, every repeated thought, and every emotion is a signal that shapes the reality you experience. And the third step is conscious action. Once you understand these patterns, deliberately choose actions that align with the life you wish to create, and observe how your reality begins to reflect this shift. It's also crucial to understand the role of contrast in this process. Contrast is what defines our perception. Without darkness, light has no meaning. Without challenge, achievement loses its significance. Most people resist contrast, seeing difficulty and struggle as negative, when in reality, contrast is the fuel that sharpens awareness. It helps you recognize patterns, test beliefs, and discover what you truly value. Those who master reality creation do not avoid contrast, they harness it, using it as a mirror to reveal what is working, what is not, and what must be transformed. In fact, one of the most powerful methods to accelerate reality creation is the conscious use of contrast. When something undesirable appears in your life, instead of resisting it, you examine it. You ask, what is this revealing about my current patterns, my beliefs, or my choices? By doing so, you turn every challenge into a tool for growth, every setback into a stepping stone, and every negative experience into insight. The universe doesn't punish, it reflects. And the more attuned you become to this reflection, the more precisely you can create the life you desire. By now, you might be starting to sense the magnitude of what's been happening without your notice. You are a creator, a constant participant in the shaping of your own existence. Every thought, emotion, and belief is a thread in the fabric of your reality. The awareness of this truth is the key that unlocks infinite possibilities. Because once you see how reality is created, you can no longer feel powerless. You realize that you are not a victim of circumstance, but an active participant in the unfolding of your life. And here's the exciting part. You don't need external permission, approval, or validation to begin this process. The tools are already within you, your mind, your focus, your attention, and your choices. The moment you start noticing, the moment you consciously direct your thoughts and emotions, you begin to rewrite the script of your reality. What once felt random becomes deliberate. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable. And what once felt like chaos transforms into clarity, purpose, and alignment. This is not a distant dream, it is happening now. Your reality is being created every second, and with conscious awareness, you can guide it with precision. The shift begins the moment you choose to notice, the moment you recognize your power, and the moment you decide to participate actively rather than passively. Now that you understand that your reality is constantly being created, the next step is to dive deeper into the mechanics of how this happens, and why most people are unaware of it. Think of your mind as a lens through which life is filtered. This lens isn't neutral. It's shaped by years of conditioning, beliefs, and repeated experiences. Some of these influences are conscious, but most are unconscious. You may have never questioned why certain patterns repeat in your life, or why some goals feel impossible to achieve, while others manifest effortlessly. The answer lies in the unseen programming of your mind. This programming acts like a set of autopilot instructions that dictate your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Until you notice it, you live life on autopilot, reacting to the world instead of shaping it. Consider this: every thought you think sends a signal to your brain, which in turn affects your emotions and actions. Emotions are powerful signals that communicate to the subconscious mind what you consider true. Over time, repeated emotions and thoughts create neural pathways that reinforce your perception of reality. In simpler terms, the more you think or feel something, the more your brain accepts it as fact, and your life starts to mirror that fact. This is why people who constantly focus on scarcity, fear, or negativity find themselves in cycles of struggle. They are unknowingly reinforcing patterns that generate the very experiences they claim to dislike. Conversely, Those who notice this process and deliberately focus on constructive, empowering thoughts create a reality that aligns with growth, abundance, and opportunity. But noticing isn't enough. Awareness must be paired with intentional action. Conscious creation requires that you not only observe your internal landscape but also take deliberate steps to adjust it. This is where most people fail. They understand the concept intellectually but struggle to implement it in practice. Why? Because old habits, ingrained beliefs, and subconscious patterns are incredibly persistent. They have been shaping your reality for years, and changing them is not instantaneous. It takes consistency, effort, and most importantly, curiosity. The curiosity to observe without judgment, to question assumptions, and to experiment with new ways of thinking and being. One of the most effective ways to start is by examining your belief systems. Beliefs are like the software of your mind. They determine how you process information, how you interpret events, and how you respond to challenges. Many beliefs are inherited from family, culture, or past experiences. Some are useful, but many are limiting. For instance, a person who believes, "I'm not good enough to succeed," will unconsciously make decisions that confirm that belief, even if opportunities are right in front of them. The belief acts like a filter, shaping their perception and actions. To consciously create reality, you must identify these limiting beliefs and consciously replace them with empowering alternatives. Visualization is another powerful tool in this process. By vividly imagining the outcomes you desire, you train your mind to recognize opportunities and align your actions accordingly. But it's not just about imagining any reality. It's about feeling it. Emotion is the catalyst that transforms thought into experience. When you visualize a goal while truly feeling the emotions of achievement, your brain begins to treat it as reality. Neural pathways strengthen, habits shift, and behaviors align with your vision. This is why athletes, performers, and high achievers often spend significant time visualizing success. They are, in essence, rehearsing reality before it physically manifests. At the same time, it's crucial to understand the role of attention. What you focus on expands. If your attention is scattered across worries, distractions, and past regrets, your reality will reflect that chaos. But if you deliberately focus on what you want to create, your mind begins to prioritize it, noticing opportunities, solutions, and resources that were previously invisible. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means directing energy where it is most productive. Life becomes a mirror of your attention, and by mastering where you place it, you gain unprecedented control over your experiences. Contrast remains an essential element in this process. Every obstacle, challenge, or discomfort is an indicator of where your attention and beliefs are misaligned. Instead of resisting these moments, you can use them as feedback. They reveal the gaps between your current reality and the reality you wish to create. This mindset transforms obstacles from threats into teachers, from problems into stepping stones. The difference between someone who feels stuck and someone who thrives lies largely in how they interpret contrast. They don't avoid it. They engage with it, learning and adjusting as they go. Another subtle but powerful factor in creating reality is language. The words you use both internally and externally shape your perception. Saying, "I can't," repeatedly reinforces limitation, while statements like, "I am learning and progress is possible," open pathways for growth. Language programs the subconscious mind. Every story you tell yourself about your life, your abilities, and your future is a script that your mind follows. Change the script, and the performance changes. You are the author of your life story, but many people are unknowingly writing in a script written by past conditioning, society, or fear. Conscious creation requires rewriting this narrative word by word, thought by thought. It's also important to address the role of environment and social influence. While your mind is the primary creator, external influences act as mirrors that reinforce or challenge your internal programming. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift, inspire, and challenge you to grow, and your reality shifts accordingly. Conversely, prolonged exposure to negativity, criticism, or limiting beliefs can sabotage even the most conscious efforts. Therefore, part of mastering reality creation is curating your environment, choosing influences intentionally, and minimizing exposure to forces that drain or distort your energy. Emotion, attention, belief, language, environment, all these factors converge to shape your reality. Yet, one of the most overlooked elements is action. Ideas and thoughts alone are not enough. Reality responds to momentum, to motion, to execution. Action aligned with awareness bridges the gap between imagination and manifestation. Small, consistent steps accumulate, creating compounding effects over time. Often, people wait for the perfect moment, or the right conditions, failing to realize that taking action is itself a creator. Action informs awareness, teaches lessons, and opens doors that thought alone cannot. The beauty of this framework is that it scales across all dimensions of life. Whether you desire financial abundance, deep relationships, creative fulfillment, or health and vitality, the same principles apply. The difference is awareness, the deliberate focus of attention, and the willingness to engage with life consciously rather than reactively. Most people achieve a fraction of their potential because they live half-conscious, unaware of how reality is formed and shaped by their thoughts, emotions, and choices. Those who master this process, however, unlock access to a life that is expansive, intentional, and deeply satisfying. Now let's explore an often overlooked aspect: subconscious influence. Your subconscious mind is like the engine room of your reality. It runs continuously, shaping experiences long before conscious thought intervenes. Habits, automatic reactions, gut feelings, and intuitive nudges all originate from this hidden layer. Learning to communicate with the subconscious through techniques like meditation, journaling, or focused reflection allows you to uncover hidden beliefs, resolve inner conflicts, and direct your life with precision. Ignoring the subconscious is like trying to steer a ship without checking the rudder. It may drift, but you cannot reliably navigate. Finally, it's essential to cultivate patience and trust in the process. Conscious creation is not instantaneous. It operates according to natural laws, which require consistency, clarity, and alignment. Instant results are rare, and attempts to force outcomes often create resistance. The art lies in steady, deliberate effort, guided by awareness and intention. Every thought, action, and decision builds upon the last, compounding into visible changes. Over time, the subtle shifts accumulate into profound transformation, and the life you consciously design begins to emerge in tangible, undeniable ways. By now, you're beginning to see the enormous responsibility and incredible opportunity that comes with understanding reality creation. But there's another layer most people overlook: the role of subconscious expectations and patterns inherited from past experiences. Think of your mind as a vast computer, filled with programs installed long before you became consciously aware of them. Many of these programs were formed in childhood, through repeated experiences, cultural conditioning, or personal trauma. These programs operate automatically, guiding your decisions and shaping your life even if you consciously reject them. For instance, someone might consciously desire wealth, success, or freedom, but deep down, they may harbor a subconscious belief that they don't deserve it. This internal contradiction produces friction, resistance, and repeated patterns that undermine conscious efforts. Understanding these hidden influences is crucial, because you cannot consciously create a reality that conflicts with your deep-seated subconscious programs. The good news is that once these patterns are recognized, they can be rewritten. Techniques like mindfulness, introspection, and focused visualization allow you to bring subconscious beliefs into conscious awareness. Once visible, they can be questioned, challenged, and replaced with new programming aligned with your desired reality. This process isn't about forcing change or ignoring past conditioning. It's about creating harmony between your conscious intent and subconscious programming. The more aligned these two aspects are, the smoother and more powerful your reality creation becomes. Now, let's talk about the often underestimated role of emotional resonance. Most people underestimate how emotions shape their reality. Thoughts alone are not enough. Emotions act as the fuel that propels intentions into the physical world. When you feel deeply, consistently, and authentically in alignment with what you want, you create a vibrational signal that attracts corresponding experiences. This is why practices like gratitude, joy, and enthusiasm are so potent. They are not just feel-good states, they are active creators of your reality. Conversely, emotions like fear, resentment, or doubt have the power to anchor you in experiences you don't desire. By cultivating awareness of your emotional state and consciously choosing emotions that support your goals, you become a more effective creator. Contrast again plays a crucial role in shaping emotional clarity. Challenges, setbacks, and uncomfortable situations are not punishments. They are mirrors showing where your attention and energy are misaligned. When you experience contrast, you have a choice: react unconsciously or reflect consciously. The reflective choice allows you to identify what is out of alignment with your desired reality and adjust accordingly. Contrast is not an obstacle. It's the most precise feedback system available. Without it, you would never know which thoughts, beliefs, or actions are truly working and which are sabotaging your progress. Mastering contrast is like learning to read the universe's subtle cues, enabling faster, more accurate adjustments in your reality creation process. At this stage, many people ask, if my thoughts and emotions create my reality, why isn't it happening faster? The answer lies in consistency and depth of focus. Most people dabble in conscious creation sporadically. They think about a goal once or twice, visualize occasionally, or feel inspired for a brief moment and then return to autopilot. Reality creation is not a one-time event, it's a continuous, iterative process. Every thought, emotion, and action contributes to the cumulative result. Small, repeated efforts compound over time, eventually producing tangible outcomes. Just like planting seeds, consistent attention and nurturing determine whether the plant flourishes or withers. The universe responds not to occasional bursts of intention, but to persistent, aligned focus over time. Let's consider a practical example: career or business success. Many people spend years dreaming of a promotion, a raise, or a breakthrough opportunity, but their daily thoughts and actions remain inconsistent with that goal. They might complain about their boss, doubt their abilities, or procrastinate on key tasks. The result: reality mirrors their underlying unspoken belief, stagnation, and missed opportunities. By contrast, a person who aligns daily thoughts, emotions, and actions with their desired outcome, visualizing success, reinforcing empowering beliefs, and taking consistent, strategic steps, finds opportunities emerging, connections aligning, and challenges transforming into growth. The key difference is not luck, it's alignment and persistent creation. Another critical aspect is clarity of intention. Vague or scattered desires produce vague or inconsistent results. If you want to create a particular reality, you must be precise. What does that reality look like, feel like, and embody? How will you think, act, and respond in that reality? The more specific your intention, the more clearly your mind can organize resources, insights, and actions to bring it into form. Ambiguity creates confusion, which delays manifestation. Clear intention acts as a magnet, attracting aligned circumstances and enabling you to notice opportunities that were previously invisible. Precision is the difference between dreaming and designing. You also need to embrace patience and trust. Conscious creation does not mean forcing outcomes or controlling every detail. Life is a dynamic system, and the timing of events often exceeds your expectations. Impatience creates tension, anxiety, and resistance, which obstructs the flow of creation. Trust, on the other hand, allows you to act consistently while remaining open to unexpected possibilities. It's about balancing deliberate focus with receptive flexibility, knowing what you want while allowing the universe to deliver it in its own way and timing. This balance between effort and allowance is subtle but transformative. Let's explore the social dimension of reality creation. People often underestimate how their environment, relationships, and social interactions influence what they create. Energy is contagious. Being around individuals who are negative, doubtful, or constantly reactive can subtly reinforce old patterns, even when your conscious intent is strong. Conversely, surrounding yourself with aligned, supportive, and growth-oriented individuals accelerates your ability to manifest desired outcomes. In essence, your social ecosystem acts as both a mirror and amplifier for your internal state. The conscious creator curates this environment intentionally, recognizing that reality creation is not isolated. It is relational, interconnected, and responsive to energy exchanges. The physical body also plays a subtle yet crucial role. Your mind and body are deeply intertwined, and physical states influence thoughts, emotions, and energy levels. Neglecting health, sleep, nutrition, or movement can dampen your ability to focus, sustain emotional resonance, and respond creatively. Conversely, nurturing the body enhances clarity, energy, and alignment. Conscious creation isn't just a mental exercise. It's a holistic process involving mind, body, and energy. Each element interacts, amplifying or diminishing the effects of your efforts. The body, in this sense, is both a tool and a mirror, reflecting internal states and supporting intentional action. At this point, you may be wondering how to integrate all these elements into daily life. The process begins with observation, continues with conscious adjustment, and flourishes through consistent action. Start by noticing thoughts and emotions, identifying limiting beliefs, and clarifying intentions. Then, deliberately choose actions that reflect the reality you wish to create. Use visualization and emotional resonance to reinforce alignment. Pay attention to contrast and feedback, adjusting patterns as needed. Curate your environment, nurture your body, and engage in supportive relationships. Over time, these practices compound, creating a reality that is no longer left to chance but actively designed by your conscious effort. Finally, remember that reality creation is both a science and an art. The science comes from understanding principles, patterns, and cause and effect relationships. The art comes from intuition, creativity, and the subtle guidance of inspiration. Mastery is not about rigid formulas or mechanical steps. It's about developing sensitivity to the flow of life, noticing cues, and responding with clarity and intention. Those who integrate both aspects experience a life of abundance, purpose, and fulfillment. They no longer react to life, they participate as co-creators, consciously shaping experiences that align with their highest potential. Now, as we reach the final part of this journey, it's time to consolidate everything you've learned into a living practice. Conscious reality creation is not a one-time event, it's a continuous lifestyle. The key is integration, weaving awareness, intention, emotion, action, and alignment into every aspect of your daily life. Start by asking yourself simple yet powerful questions. What am I creating today? Which thoughts, emotions, and actions are shaping my tomorrow? By bringing focus to the present moment and acknowledging your creative role, you turn everyday life into an ongoing canvas of manifestation. One of the most profound shifts you can make is to stop waiting for external validation or permission. Too often, people believe that circumstances, approval from others, or perfect timing determine whether their dreams are possible. In reality, the only prerequisite for conscious creation is your awareness and intent. Every day offers countless opportunities to practice, to refine, and to reinforce alignment with the reality you wish to manifest. By noticing the invisible patterns, observing the contrast, and choosing deliberate action, you activate a feedback loop of growth. Small, consistent efforts compound into visible, undeniable transformation. Another powerful aspect is embracing your inner authority. Your reality is ultimately your own creation, and only you can direct it fully. Others may offer advice, perspectives, or influence, but the final say resides within your own mind. By cultivating confidence in your awareness, intuition, and choices, you strengthen your capacity to shape life intentionally. The contrast between living reactively, allowing external events to dictate outcomes, and living proactively, directing thoughts, emotions, and actions toward a chosen vision, is stark. Those who master this distinction experience freedom, clarity, and profound fulfillment. It's also essential to honor the process and remain patient. Reality responds to consistency, alignment, and attention, not force. Attempts to rush or manipulate outcomes often create resistance, blocking the natural flow of manifestation. Instead, practice steady, deliberate focus, allowing inspiration, intuition, and opportunity to unfold organically. Trust the process and recognize that every thought, every feeling, and every action contributes to your evolving reality. The shift may start subtly, like noticing small opportunities or changes in perception, but over time, these subtle shifts accumulate, producing significant transformation. Finally, embrace the joy of creation itself. Life is not only about outcomes or achievements, it's about participation, awareness, and co-creation. When you recognize that every moment is an opportunity to shape your reality, you awaken a sense of empowerment and playfulness. Challenges become feedback, contrast becomes insight, and every experience becomes a tool for alignment. You no longer live passively. You live deliberately, consciously, and fully. This is the essence of creating your reality. The awareness, the intention, the action, and the alignment that allow you to live a life beyond coincidence, beyond limitation, and beyond the unnoticed patterns that once controlled you. From this moment forward, remember, your reality is not something that happens to you. It is something you create every second. By noticing, by aligning, and by taking consistent action, you step into the role of conscious creator. Nothing is random. Everything is the reflection of your internal state, your attention, and your choices. The power to shape your life has always been within you. You only needed to notice it. Now that you do, the canvas is yours. Every thought, emotion, and action is a brushstroke. Every moment is a chance to consciously craft the life you truly desire. Step into that power, and watch as your reality transforms in ways you never noticed before.